Monday, 14th February 2000, just before dawn, rain skims the blacktop of Highway 18 north of Shelby, North Carolina. Two motorists see a small figure in a long-sleeved white top and light trousers moving along the verge, southbound, in the wind and drizzle. One turns his car around. The child darts off the shoulder and runs into the trees. She is 9 years old. Her name is Asha Degree. What could send a child into the dark before 4 a.m., and where did she go next? If you remember one thing, and only one, make it this. Investigators have long asked about a dark green, 1970s-era car seen near that stretch of road, a Ford Thunderbird or Lincoln Mark IV with rust around the wheel wells. If that sparks a memory, share it with law enforcement, not online. Please don't name private individuals or post unverified allegations. Tips belong with the Cleveland County Sheriff's Office, and FBI Asha Degree is a fourth grader at Falston Elementary, a careful child who loves family, church, and basketball. The weekend before, her team lost a tight game. She fouled out late, cried with teammates, then carried on with Sunday routines and an early bedtime. She shares a room with her older brother, O'Brien, in the family home just north of Shelby. She is 9, bright, organized in small ways, and, by all accounts, cautious. The geography matters. The Degrees subdivision sits off rural roads a short drive north of Shelby. Highway 18 runs north-south there. Highway 180 intersects nearby. The last confirmed roadside sighting sits about 1.3 miles, 2.1 kilometers, from Asha's home south of it. 17 months later, her backpack will surface roughly 26-30 miles, 42 to 48 kilometers, to the north along the same highway corridor, near Morganton in Burke County, far beyond the original search grid. A billboard now marks the roadside where she was seen before she ran for the tree line. Now, the timeline. Sunday night, 13th of February 2000, the children go to bed around 8 p.m. A nearby car crash knocks out power in the area. When the lights return at about 12:30 a.m., Asha's father checks the room. Both children asleep. He looks in again at 2:30 a.m. on Monday and sees the same. Sometime after that, their son hears Asha's bed squeak. Between 3:45 and 4:15 a.m., two separate drivers report seeing a child matching Asha's description walking south on Highway 18. When one tries to approach, she runs into the trees. At 6:30 a.m., her mother opens the bedroom door for baths. Asha's bed is empty. By 6:40 a.m., officers are at the house. These times come from official summaries and FBI statements. They are the strongest record we have. What was found and what was not. In the first 48 hours, searchers recover a few of Asha's things near a roadside outbuilding not far from that tree line. A pencil, a green marker, and a yellow Mickey Mouse hair bow that her parents recognize, candy wrappers that friends say match sweets from a team bag, and a wallet-sized photograph of a girl the family does not know. No footprints conclusively trace her path. No scent trail holds. Dogs lose it near the highway. There is no CCTV. This is 2000 in rural North Carolina, and no mobile phone metadata to chase. On Friday, 3rd of August 2001, a construction crew uncovers Asha's black and beige backpack, double-wrapped in black plastic, off Highway 18 near Morganton. Inside are a New Kids on the Block t-shirt and a copy of Dr. Seuss's McElligot's Pool checked out from her school's library. Items the family say did not belong to her. Sightings, separated cleanly. Confirmed, two motorists on Monday, 14th February, around 4 a.m., describing a small child in white clothing on Highway 18. One sees her run into the woods. Reported later and treated as a lead, not a certainty. The 2016 appeal naming a dark green 1970s Lincoln Mark IV or Ford Thunderbird near that corridor. More recently, search warrant narratives in 2025, state investigators believe Asha may have been pulled into a car that night. The first category is anchored by witness statements received within hours. The latter two are investigative leads that guide work and public appeals, but are not courtroom findings. How the investigation matured. In 2015, the FBI joined the Sheriff's Office and the State Bureau in a top-to-bottom review. In 2017, the FBI's Child Abduction Rapid Deployment Team assisted on the ground. On the 20th anniversary in 2020, the Bureau released age progressions and publicly highlighted the book and T-shirt from the recovered bag. In September 2024, search warrants executed on Cleveland County properties marked a major shift. For the first time, authorities stated in filings that they believe Asha was a victim of homicide and that her body was concealed. Warrants and subsequent reporting referenced DNA from items in the recovered bag and named local individuals whose attorneys firmly deny any involvement. No arrests followed. In February 2025, additional warrants seized phones and revealed text messages cited by investigators. On Friday, 4th of April 2025, multiple agencies searched buildings at a former school property in neighboring Lincoln County, tied to the broader inquiry. Through 2025, the case drew new billboards and reward increases. Theory 1. She left home by choice and was then abducted along the road. Supporters point to the packed backpack, the early morning departure, and the lack of forced entry. The pushback is simple and sobering. She was 9, on a stormy night, frightened of dogs, walking in the dark, and the path ends at a roadside where a child is last seen running from a car. The open question is whether any surviving trace, fibers, paint, or trace DNA can fix a vehicle to that spot at that time. Theory 2. A meeting with someone she knew. This line of thought looks at the unfamiliar T-shirt and library book in her bag, and the wallet-size photo of an unknown girl found with her items, and wonders if a person drew her out. The limitations: no verifiable communications, no computer at home, and no confirmed friend rendezvous that night. The hinge remains identification firmly of the source of those two items and that stray photograph. Theory 3. An offender linked to the later warrant work. In 2024 to 2025, warrants described DNA results from the backpack and set out allegations and texts that investigators say could point to post-crime conduct. Attorneys for those named rejected the claims, and there have been no charges. The caveat is critical. Warrants are investigative tools, not verdicts. What could move this forward is definitive, independent forensic corroboration that survives legal scrutiny. 1. The clock between 2:30 a.m. When Asha's father last saw her asleep, and 3:45 to 15 a.m., when drivers reported seeing a child on Highway 18. That 75 to 105-minute window frames everything that followed. 2. The power outage hours earlier, triggered by a local car crash, with power restored around 12:30 a.m. It explains the early bath plan and the mother's 6:30 a.m. check that found the empty bed. 3. The exact place where the motorist's approach sent her into the woods, now marked by a billboard. It fixes direction, southbound, and distance. About 1.3 miles, 2.1 kilometers from home. 4. The shed near Highway 18, where searchers found Asha's pencil, a green marker, and her yellow Mickey Mouse hair bow, plus candy wrappers and a wallet-sized photo of an unknown girl. Those items show she, or someone with her belongings, stood near shelter. 5. The backpack recovered on Friday, 3rd August 2001, off Highway 18 near Morganton, double-bagged in black plastic. Its location, roughly 26-30 miles north, points to later movement by a third party. 6. The New Kids on the Block T-shirt and McElligot's Pool library book inside the bag, neither belonging to Asha. 2 objects with traceable origins could still connect people and places. 7. The 2016 FBI vehicle lead, a dark green 1970s, Lincoln Mark IV, or Ford Thunderbird, rusted around the wheel wells, still unmatched to a specific owner that morning. That car is the case's public touchstone. 8. The DNA described in 2024-2025 warrants from items in the backpack, which investigators say pointed them toward specific people and locations. The science has to be developed, tested, and explained in court-ready ways. 9. The text message line quoted in the 2025. 5 warrants. The theory is, I did it. Accident. Covered it up. And the related polygraph context. They are clues to be tested against physical evidence, not conclusions. 10. The April 2025 search of old buildings at a former school property in Lincoln County, tied by records to figures in the warrants. New searches mean new chances for trace evidence missed decades ago. And while the search for Asha continues, her story represents one type of mystery: a disappearance into the shadows. But what happens when a crime is captured on camera, offering a clear view of a suspect, and yet that clue becomes an entirely new, and perhaps even more frustrating, mystery? That is the puzzle we will confront next. Tuesday, 24th of January 2006, Orlando, Florida. Just after noon, a black 2004 Chevrolet Malibu eases into a lot at Huntington on the Green. A figure in light clothing sits for roughly 30 seconds, steps out, and walks away. The camera fires off a still every 3 seconds. In each frame, a fence post covers the face. The car is Jennifer Kesse's. Who parked it there? And where did Jennifer go between dawn and midday? If you remember only one thing, make it this: that unidentified person captured at about 12:00 p.m. on Tuesday, 24th of January, parking Jennifer's car and leaving on foot. If that memory connects to a name or a place, share it with law enforcement, not online. Please do not name private individuals or post unverified claims. Tips belong with FDLE, Orlando Police, or Central Florida Crime Line. Jennifer Joyce Kesse is 24. A finance manager with Central Florida Investments, a University of Central Florida graduate, close to her family and in a long-distance relationship. She has just returned from a weekend in St. Croix with her boyfriend, and by Monday evening, 23rd of January 2006, she is home at her new condo at Mosaic at Millenia. Around 10 p.m., she speaks to her boyfriend by phone. Those are her last confirmed communications. The geography is compact. Mosaic at Millenia sits near the mall at Millenia Corridor. Huntington on the Green, where the car appears on camera, is about 1 to 1.2 miles away at Texas Avenue and Americana Boulevard. In normal traffic, it's only a few minutes' drive, close enough to move a car quickly and vanish on foot through neighboring complexes. Now the timeline, anchored to local time. Monday, 23rd January 2006. Jennifer calls family members through the day and speaks with her boyfriend around 10 p.m. Tuesday. 24th of January, between 8 and 9 a.m., his routine morning call goes straight to voicemail. She never arrives at work. Around 11 a.m., her employer contacts her parents. They start the 2-hour drive to Orlando. At about 12:06 p.m., an unknown person parks Jennifer's Malibu at Huntington on the Green. That footage isn't discovered until 2 days later. By 3 p.m., her parents and brother reach her condo and find signs she got ready for work that morning. Police are called that afternoon. Thursday, 26th of January, at 8:10 a.m., a tenant recognizes the car from the news. Detectives recover it and review the noon surveillance. These times are drawn from official summaries and major reporting. What was found and what was not. Inside the condo, a wet towel, makeup on the counter, and outfits laid out point to a normal morning routine. Her phone, keys, purse, and iPod are gone. There is no sign of forced entry. In the car, valuables such as a portable DVD player remain. DNA testing yields nothing conclusive. Investigators note the lack of robbery indicators. No CCTV exists at her own complex that captures a departure, and there are no mobile phone pings to reconstruct her route. Sightings sit in two tiers. Confirmed by video and subsequent police review, at about 12:00 p.m. on Tuesday, 24th January 2006, the unknown figure parking Jennifer's car and walking away. Reported in the early search, but less firm. Bloodhounds that, according to press archives, trailed a scent from the recovered Malibu back toward the Mosaic complex. Useful, but not a courtroom fact. The first category is fixed and enduring. The second guides thinking, but carries the usual limits of dog work and memory. By early February 2006, the case has attention, rewards, and saturation patrols. Over the years, it evolves in phases. In 2010, the FBI's assistants and lead investigator change mark a reset. In 2018-2019, after a lawsuit, Orlando police turn over more than 16,000 pages and 67 hours of recordings to the family. In 2020, media publish previously unseen case photos and revisit the surveillance sequence. In December 2022, Florida's Department of Law Enforcement takes carriage of the case from OPD's cold case team. On Tuesday, 20th May 2025, FDLE says publicly they've reviewed thousands of pages, interviewed about 45 people, and that the case is no longer considered cold. Investigators and private teams have tried every edge. NASA specialists were asked to enhance the fence-obscured frames. The FBI estimated the individual's height around 5'3" to 5'5", possibly wearing work attire. Image tech did not reveal a face. In 2025, reporting again highlighted FDLE's active status and new testing avenues, including AI tools to reassess the video and any latent traces from the Malibu. These are investigative steps, not conclusions. Theory 1. An abduction at or near her car before work. This theory fits the apartment scene, the missing personal items, and the lack of forced entry. She locks up, heads out, and is intercepted. The pushback is that no one witnessed a struggle at Mosaic, and no forensics tie a specific person to her parking area. The live question is whether overlooked trace evidence on walkways, stairwells, or her parking bay still exists in storage and can now be developed. Theory 2. An offender linked to construction activity at Mosaic. Jennifer had told family the on-site crews made her uneasy. Private investigators later documented similar complaints from other residents. The counterpoint is evidentiary. Transient workforces were imperfectly documented, and many potential witnesses or persons of interest moved on long ago. Progress here requires firm identification of workers who had access to her unit and parking area in the week before, 24 January 2006, and fresh. Interviews under oath. Theory 3. Targeted by someone she knew outside the complex. Supporters look at her stable routines and speculate about a meeting gone wrong. The limits are hard facts. Phone records don't show that arrangement, and the noon parking of her car looks like deliberate distancing by someone minimizing exposure. Moving this theory forward would take corroborated communications or physical evidence from a known associate that anchors time and place. 1. The clock between 7 a.m. and 9 a.m. on Tuesday, 24th January 2006, when Jennifer usually left for work, and 12 p.m. when her car is parked at Huntington on the Green. That 4 to 5 hour window is the heart of the case. 2. The 10 p.m. phone call on Monday, 23rd of January, her last confirmed contact. It fixes that she was home, engaged, and preparing for a normal week. 3. The morning routine inside the condo, wet shower corners, makeup out, clothes laid out, indicating she got ready for work on Tuesday. It argues against a voluntary overnight departure. 4. The person on video at about 12:05 p.m., face blocked by fence posts in 3 successive frames, walking away from her Malibu after a brief pause. It remains the single clearest lead. 5. The car's contents, including a visible DVD player and the lack of theft damage. They point away from robbery as a primary motive. CBS News. 6. The scent trail claim from the recovered car back toward Mosaic, reported by Case Digests. If accurate, it suggests the parker left on foot toward familiar ground. If not, it shows the risk of overreading dog work. 7. The FBI's height estimate for the figure, approximately 5'3" to 5'5", and apparent workwear. It helps bracket comparisons to known associates and local labor rosters. 8. The incomplete worker records at Mosaic during renovations, identifying who lived or worked in vacant units near Jennifer's and on which days, could unlock overdue interviews. 9. The surveillance interval itself, still image capture, 1 frame every 3 seconds. Those gaps mean movements are approximated, not continuous, and a second person just off-frame remains possible. 10. The FDLE phase beginning in December 2022 and the no longer cold status by May 2025 with new interviews and retesting. Fresh eyes and technology can surface matches earlier labs could not. The search for Jennifer Kesse's phantom is a modern kind of agony. A face we can almost see, a truth just out of reach. But this torment has a precedent. It's a pain that an entire generation learned for the first time from a single, small boy. His face on a milk carton would change America forever. Before there was a phantom in a parking lot, there was a 6-year-old on a sidewalk. And the mystery of Etan Patz. Case No. 3. Friday, 25 May 1979, Soho, Lower Manhattan. Just after breakfast, a 6-year-old boy leaves 113 Prince Street for the first solo walk of his life, 2 blocks to the school bus on West Broadway. He wears sneakers with bright stripes and a small pilot's cap. The bus driver will later say he never saw the child board. In the quiet gap between a front door and a street corner, Etan Patz vanishes. How can a walk of minutes erase a life? If you keep only one clue in mind, make it this: the short route, about 2 city blocks, from Etan's building to the bus stop at West Broadway and Prince Street, and the cluster of storefronts there in 1979. If that stirs a precise memory about a person, a store, or a routine at that corner, tell law enforcement, not the Internet. Please avoid naming private individuals or sharing unverified allegations. Credible tips belong with the NYPD or the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. Etan was 6, curious, eager, and proud to be trusted with a small piece of independence. His father, Stanley, a photographer, had captured his son's face in images that would later anchor posters across the city. His mother, Julie, agreed to the short walk after practice trips together. On an ordinary school morning, he left home carrying his lunch money and a plan to buy a soda. The geography is tight and telling. Prince Street runs east-west. West Broadway cuts north-south. The Patz loft at 113 Prince sits about 2 blocks from the bus stop, a distance small enough to see the corner from mid-block when the light hits right. A small bodega operated at the northwest corner of West Broadway and Prince, steps from where the bus stop stood just up the block. PS3. His school sat roughly a dozen blocks away at Hudson and Grove. Now, the timeline. Friday, 25th of May, 1979, shortly after 8 a.m., Etan leaves the apartment and heads west on Prince Street toward West Broadway. His teacher marks him absent that day, but there is no immediate alarm. When he fails to return home after school, his mother calls police. By that evening, more than 100 officers and search dogs fan through Soho's basements, rooftops, and alleys. Over the weekend and into early June, canvases widen, flyers go up, and the city learns his name. This sequence comes from contemporaneous reports and official summaries. No confirmed witness places Etan between his front door and the bus stop. what was found and what was not. In 1979, there was no neighborhood CCTV, and there were no mobile phone pings or transit cameras. The bus driver's log showed no boarding by Etan, and the route offered few fixed eyes. Police recovered no clothing, no bag, no confirmed trace of the boy along that short corridor. In April 2012, investigators jackhammered through a basement at 127B Prince Street after cadaver dogs alerted. 4 days of work ended with nothing conclusive found. Decades on, there is still no body. Sightings divide cleanly. Confirmed, none after he left home that Friday morning. Unconfirmed and contested. Dozens of tips across the late 1970s and 1980s, and later claims from jailhouse sources tied to other suspects. Investigators treated these as leads to triage, not as anchors for the timeline. None rose to the level of proof. The absence of a single reliable sighting along a 2-block walk is the case's starkest vacuum. As the investigation matured, the case reshaped how America looks for missing children. On Wednesday, 25th of May, 1983, President Ronald Reagan proclaimed National Missing Children's Day on the anniversary of Etan's disappearance. Soon after, his image appeared on milk cartons as part of a national alert effort. On Tuesday, 19th of June, 2001, a New York judge declared Etan legally dead. On Tuesday, 25th of May, 2010, the Manhattan District Attorney reopened the case. In April 2012, the Soho basement dig drew global attention. 2 days later, on Thursday, 24th of May, 2012, Pedro Hernandez, a former teen stock clerk at the corner bodega, confessed. He was arrested and charged. Court findings followed, then shifted. In 2015, a first trial ended in a mistrial on Friday, 9th May. On Tuesday, 14th and February 2017, a second jury convicted Hernandez of kidnapping and murder. On Tuesday, 18th April 2017, a judge sentenced him to 25 years to life. Appeals wound through state courts until the conviction was affirmed in 2020. On Monday, 24th of July 2025, a federal appeals panel overturned the conviction, ruling the trial judge's instruction about Hernandez's confessions was manifestly prejudicial, and ordered a new trial or release. In mid-September 2025, prosecutors said they would seek U.S. Supreme Court review. These are legal milestones, not new facts about the morning Etan disappeared. Theory 1. The Hernandez narrative as the truth. Supporters point to his written and videotaped confessions that, he said, began at the bus stop and led to a basement attack, and to testimony placing him at the bodega that morning. The counterweight is evidentiary. No physical trace, no body, and now a federal ruling that trial instructions about those confessions were flawed. What could move this forward is admissible. Independent corroboration, witness, document, or trace that ties Hernandez to Etan at a specific point on Friday. Chitinawan Fuad 25, May 1979, Theory 2, the long-studied alternative suspect, Jose Ramos. For years, Ramos sat at the center of investigative attention and, in 2004, a civil court entered a default judgment against him in a wrongful death suit. In 2016, at the Patz family's request, that judgment was vacated after Hernandez's criminal charges moved forward. Ramos has never been criminally charged in Etan's case and denies involvement. Progress here would demand new, testable evidence that surpasses earlier, largely circumstantial links. Theory 3. An unknown offender intercepted him on the street. This view leans on the clean roadway, the missing sighting, and the reality of late 1970s Soho's mix of workshops, loading docks, and open basement stairs. The weakness is time and exposure. In a crowded corridor, someone usually sees something. No one did. Any break would likely come from archival records, delivery logs, building permits, worker rosters linked to a name now findable through digitized archives. 1. The clock between shortly after 8 a.m. When Etan left the apartment on Friday, 25th of May, 1979, and the time his bus departed West Broadway minutes later. That narrow window frames the abduction opportunity. 2. The route itself. Prince Street west to West Broadway, about 2 blocks, with a bodega at the corner, and the bus stop just up the block. Geography fixed the risk within meters. 3. The teacher's attendance mark that day and the bus driver's statement that Etan did not board. They confirm the loss occurred before school. 4. The absence of physical evidence from 1979. No clothing, no bag, no confirmed trace, despite early saturation searches. Silence at the scene cuts both ways. 5. The 2012 basement excavation at 127B. Prince Street and the official nothing conclusive found. It closes one long-running hypothesis about a specific cellar. 6. The confessions by Pedro Hernandez beginning on Thursday, 24th of May 2012, and the placement of his former workplace at West Broadway and Prince. Words that match a map, but without forensics. 7. The first trial's mistrial on Friday, 9th May 2015. Then the guilty verdict on Tuesday, 14th of February 2017, and sentencing on Tuesday, 18th of April 2017. Legal outcomes that shaped public understanding. 8. The federal appeals decision on Monday, 24th of July 2025, overturning the conviction due to jury instruction error about confessions. It reopens the evidentiary debate without changing the 1979 facts. Reuters 9. The civil judgment once entered against Jose Ramos in 2004 and its reversal in 2016 at the family's request. It marks a pivot away from an earlier theory. 10. The designation of Wednesday, 25th of May 1983, as National Missing Children's Day. It shows how one child's case reshaped systems, awareness, hotlines, and the will to keep searching. Reagan Library, the human cost and legacy run through every year. Stanley and Julie Patz turned their home into a command post in 1979, and, for decades, kept the same phone number in case their son called. Etan's face helped galvanize the missing child movement. Milk cartons and news bulletins carried his image nationwide. In June 2001, the legal declaration of death brought a formal recognition of loss, but not closure. The parents' advocacy, quiet, steady, unyielding, helped build the culture of response that later families would rely on. As of Thursday, 9th of October 2025, the case stands at a legal crossroads. The U.S. Court of Appeals has overturned Pedro Hernandez's 2017 conviction and ordered a new trial, citing prejudicial jury instructions. The Manhattan District Attorney has said it will seek U.S. Supreme Court review. No physical remains have been found, and Etan's disappearance remains a New York City homicide investigation. Officials continue to assess credible information and pursue prosecutorial options in light of the appellate ruling. For Etan, the promise is simple: to keep faith with a small boy on a short walk, and to keep asking careful questions until the space between a front door and a street corner finally tells the truth.